Hello students, in our last class we saw what viruses are, their introduction, the phases they work in and other things that has been discussed. Today we'll see something more about viruses. So let us begin. Computer virus infect a variety of different subsystems on their host computer and software. This is a very important small line, but it's telling a lot of things to us. Computer virus infect what? Variety of different subsystem. Subsystem means in a system. In a system means in your computer or in an operating system. There are a lot of subsystems are there. Hmm. So they can infect lot of subsystems on their host computer. Host computer means the computer which they have infected or the computer in which the virus is there. Okay, that is called the host computer. So they infect the subsystem of that computer and the softwares on that system. Okay. One manner of classifying viruses is to analyze whether they reside in binary executable files such as .exe file or .com files or data files such as Word file, Excel file, PDF file or any other data files or in the boot sector. Boot sector is, is a specific part, just a seat. What is a boot sector that you need to know? A boot sector is a sector of a persistent data storage device which contain machine code to be loaded into random access memory and executed by the computer system in built-in firmware. In simple words, boot sector is a specific place in a storage device where the instructions for booting or vital instructions are loaded, which get loaded into RAM and they get executed. This is a special part of the storage device, a special part where the information regarding booting or the instruction to boot or start a computer is located. So this particular paragraph is telling you that viruses infect in a different ways, and the way they infect, the system they infect, or the area of a computer where they reside, as per that, according to that, they are classified. Classified means the types, the types. So there are few binary files. These are the executable files. Executable files means what? Like if when we double click any icon, then it starts. So such files are executable file. They are exe files. Okay. If you want to see those files, I'll show you how we can see that. Mostly they reside in C drive, Windows folder, System 32. Uh, this may contain a lot of exe files. Okay. Now click type here in detailed view. Right click, view, go to detailed view, and there you click type, and then scroll down, and you will see these application files are actually the executable files. Okay, so now you'll say that where exe is written, just right click over any application type file, right click and see the property. See .exe file, is it written? Yes. So whichever file contains .exe as its extension, it is an application file. Application file means what? Those we are executable file. Double, if you double click it will execute. Okay, so let us just see any of this. And see, one of the program, the most common program is a notepad. Normally we open notepad from here, we go and start here and click this notepad, but this is the file. When we double click it, notepad will get in front of you. See, this is the notepad, this is the executable file. Right click, see the property, and you'll find that this is an application file. And whenever we make program, when it get compiled, then also it get converted to exe codes, and then it is directly executable over the Windows system. Fine. So executable files means such some viruses are of such type which infect these exe files. Means it may infect a notepad or any other such program, and when you'll double click, thinking that a notepad will start and you'll do something, but something else will happen. Why? Because the virus has infected that file to damage your system or the data normally. Another kind of viruses are those which infect the data files. Data files means the file which we are making, that file which contains some data. Like if you are typing something over the Word or making something on Excel or PowerPoint or any other application software, those are called data files, and a virus which infect the data files comes under this category. Another virus is which infect the boot sector, that is spatial sector. hmm, of the host hard drive. Hard drive, normally, you know what is hard drive. So hard drive contains the boot sector, and the virus infect the boot sector. And let us see in detail what are those viruses. The first type of virus is resident versus non-resident virus. You need to know about these things also. What are these resident and non-resident virus? So literally resident means what? Which resides there, which stays there. Okay. Non-resident means which doesn't reside there. Now what is confusion? So let us see and wait and watch. A memory resident virus or simply resident virus install itself as a part of operating system when executed, after which it remain in RAM from the time computer is booted up when it is shut down. Now, a resident virus is what? Which reside in the memory. Memory simply means RAM. So what this kind of virus does, it simply install itself along with the operating system. And when you start a computer, the process of starting a computer is known as booting. When the computer is booting, then the virus get loaded into RAM along with the operating system, and it remains there in the RAM, and it controls your system. So that is memory resident virus, which reside on the in the RAM. And when you shut down and when you restart, it again get loaded back to the RAM. Resident virus overwrite interrupt handling codes and other functions. And when the operating system attempt to access the target or the disk sector, the virus intercept the request and redirects control flow to the request. It simply is trying to tell you these lines may be a little complicated for most of you, but interrupt handling are some special codes when we are doing some input output task. Interrupt is generated and then a processor schedule a task and all. These are little complicated things. So if you really want to understand this also, then you may read it here. In digital computers, the interrupt is a response by processor to an event that it needs attention from a software. An interrupt condition alerts processor and says, look, we are normally using a microcomputer, having a single processor in it. But a single processor is handling a lot of work. Hmm. So one software is working. If another software requests something, then an interrupt is generated and the processor handles this interrupt. So that's called interrupt handling. Okay. You will learn these things when you'll study operating system, not now because we are discussing right now the viruses. I'm just trying to tell you that the interrupt handling subsystem is now controlled by the virus when the virus is memory resident. And whenever any software tries to interrupt the processor, requesting that now I need your attention, this processor, now the first processor or processor is working with the first software, and then the second software wants the processor's attention, then it interrupts. You know, na, excuse me, sir, you say, excuse me, you are interrupting. You want my attention to you. So the same way, the interruption is generated by the softwares. And at that time, if virus is there, the virus now controls the interruption, and despite of doing something obvious, it does something unobvious. Because now virus is controlling the system, and you will not get the desired result, and you'll find that your computer is not working nicely. So this is what again the symptom that your system has something wrong with it. Hmm. And when the operating system attempt to access the target, it just replicates. It means virus starts spreading and all. So in contrast, a non-memory resident virus or non-resident when executed scan the disk for target, infect them, and then exit. That is, it does not remain in the memory after it is done execution. Non-resident virus means it is not residing in the RAM all the time. When it is executed, it does it works whatever it is intended to do, and then after doing the work, it just exit from the memory. You'll not find the virus is there. So this is how this is the logical design of the viruses, how they have to perform their work. Macro viruses. What are macro viruses? So in order to understand macro, you need to understand what is macro virus. Okay. So macro virus are such viruses. Look, what is macro? I know I'm a little fast in making you understand all these things, but you can watch this again and again. Macro is a code. Macro is a kind of function which easy your task. Actually, macro records your action. What I'm telling. In order to understand macrovirus, you first need to understand what is a macro. So what macro is, let me try make you understand what is a macro first of all. Suppose you are provided with the 100 word file, 100 of word file is there, okay? You are given it, and you have been told to format all of them in a specific format. Now what is the format is also provided. You are told that open the first file. You have 100 files and you are told to open the first file, then select all the text in it and change its colors to red, change its fonts to Arial or Times New Roman, and make them bold or make them all capital. Some kind of this kind of thing you have to do with all the 100 files. Now what you will do, normally you will open first file, you will press Ctrl A, then you will choose red color, then you will choose the specific font, then you will choose the specific font size, then you will choose an option to convert them all to the capital letter. And after doing this, you will save it, you will close it. Fine. Then you will open the second file, then will repeat everything from the beginning. Okay, then you will close it, save it. Now you will open the third file, and this you will do for all the 100 files. Now how much time it will take? It will take too much time. But what we can do, there is a facility, you can find it over the Google also, or sometime I'll tell you how the macros are created. You can record a macro. So what you have to do now, you just have to initiate the macro recording, and then in the first file only record the macro for the first file. And whatever you are doing, like you are selecting the text, you are changing it to any other color, you are changing the font size, your font color, and font style, and paragraph setting, or any kind of thing that you are doing with it, all of them they get recorded. Now next time what you have to do, you just have to open the second file and click that button, and rest everything will, since it is recorded, it will be played on the second file. Now your work is reduced. Then you will open the third file. Even if you are a good macro designer, if you can write a good macro, then you can also write the macro to just open the file automatically. So for that you have to be a good programmer. Actually what is happening while you are recording a macro is the codes for doing everything get recorded, automatically generated. So this is how your work is simplified using a macro. So this was macro. Now what is a macro virus? So let us now see what is a macro virus. Many common applications such as Outlook or Word or Excel also, I have used already, allow macro program to be embedded in document or email so that the program may run automatically when the document is opened. Now, what I said, you now understand what this particular line is trying to tell you. A macro virus, or this is also called a document virus, is a virus that is written in macro language. It's just like any other simple language. In Visual Basic, we normally write this macro language. Okay, a macro is computer science rules, a pattern, specify how certain input sequence should be mapped and all. I've already discussed this. We have not enough time to discuss every single thing in detail, so I'm telling you in short. It's embedded in the document or email so that program may run automatically and all. So a microvirus is a virus that is written in micro language and embedded into this document so that when user open the file, suppose this macro virus is embedded in some file, then when you open this file, the virus code intercept the request and redirects control flow the replication module. Replication means to multiply, infecting the target. Now the target also contains the, in contrast, the non-memory resident, where I went, no, I was there. So executed and can infect the user's computer. Fine. This is one of the reasons that it is dangerous to open unexpected or suspicious attachment or email, and therefore it is always suggested not to open any email or any document from unknown source. If you receive any file in your email or any attachment in your email from a known source, where unauthenticated source, then you should not open it. Okay. So thank you, students, for today. We'll see these things in more detail in the next class.